here's your wrestling news for December 29th, 2022. And we're kicking off today with AEW, as the Acclaimed have won over fans with Max Caster's freestyle raps, which often includes references to pop culture and pro wrestling. From Vince McMahon's retirement to kids show Ed, Ed, and Eddie, no topic is off limits for the reigning AEW World Tag Team Champions, and last night saw a nod to a certain Olympian. In a new rap video which aired on Dynamite, Caster took aim at Jarrett, saying, "You're stealing money like it's Kurt Angle's wife." In response, Karen was shocked by what the Acclaimed said, tweeting, "Please tell me I didn't hear what I think I just heard." For those not in the know, Jarrett's wife Karen was once married to Kurt and would often appear with the Olympic gold medalist during his TNA tenure. Karen and Jarrett would start seeing each other behind Kurt's back, and the real-life problems between the three would later be turned into a love triangle storyline on TNA programming. This is all ancient history, and it appears that Kurt and Jarrett have since made amends, but this was certainly a surprising reference made by Caster during this week's Dynamite. Dynamite also saw Bryan Danielson take on Ethan Page during last night's opening match, which was closely observed by MJF. The reigning AEW World Champion sat at the top of the First Bank Center in Broomfield, Colorado to watch the show, and he was accompanied by a mystery female. MJF said that this was the only hot chick in Colorado, and for those wondering, this woman is independent wrestler Daddy Doom. MJF and Danielson will face off eventually, though there's no confirmation as to when that'll be. And after her appearance this week, perhaps this isn't the last we've seen of Daddy Doom. Last year, Bobby Fish made his way to AEW mere months after his release from WWE, and would waste no time in reuniting with Adam Cole. Fish's time with AEW would be short-lived, as he would leave after less than a year, but not before he had a backstage altercation with FTR's Dax Harwood. Before addressing the Fish situation, Harwood made it clear that he wasn't going to talk about their fight, but Fish did an interview, and that's okay, and emphasized that the two are friends, recently talking about their families, marriages, and real estate. He added, "There was an issue he and I had on live TV where I felt he was taking advantage of me, and things got very heated on stage, and I I punched Kyle because I thought Kyle was getting involved as well. We got to the back, we had to be separated, then 30 minutes later we apologized, we hugged, and we're good. As for the kickout goes, I've taken many pins in my career, obviously, and I have got the squeeze, and the squeeze to me means thank you, and that's what I think, and that's what I was taught. Maybe Bobby was taught differently, I don't know. But those are my feelings on Bobby. Great guy to me. We get along personally. We had our little flare-up when we threw hands, and we got over it just like men do, and moved on." It's no secret that Harwood is a close friend with CM Punk, who has had his own issues with Fish after he kicked out of Punk's GTS just after a 3 count, something that the former NXT star thought Punk wanted. Fish took Punk grabbing his wrist as a secret message to kick out, and this was addressed on the premiere episode of the FTR podcast. Harwood and Fish may have come to blows, but things between the two are fine now, but it just goes to show how tensions can boil over in pro wrestling. There once was a time when WWE's Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch were closer than sisters, but that was a long time ago. Nowadays, the real-life issues between the two former friends have been well documented, and we now have a new perspective of what went down between the two. Appearing on the Wrestling with Freddie podcast, Lynch's ex-boyfriend Jeff Dye discussed Lynch's turbulent relationship with the Queen. "I think it's like comedy or show business, or maybe if you work at a warehouse, or if you work at Target, or you work at Best Buy, you get competitive. You want the promotion, you want the raise, or you want some position. So that's just part of it for them. So it's like Charlotte had a difficult time that Becky was starting to become the face of the female wrestling thing." Lynch would frequently complain to Dye about Charlotte being upset at her throughout their feuds on WWE TV, and at the time, Dye thought they were just taking their storylines too seriously, unaware that the issues between them were real. The problems between the two came to the forefront years ago when Lynch had an off-the-cuff line during a promo in which she called Charlotte plastic, and got worse in October 2021 when Flair refused to follow the script for a segment involving the Raw and SmackDown women's titles. Both women are on different brands, likely to keep them away from each other, and while Lynch and Flair have had incredible success each, it has cost both women their friendship. Now, Roman Reigns has been booked as an unstoppable force since his return to WWE TV in 2020, and while he has the bloodline by his side, the Tribal Chief is in a league of his own. It should therefore come as no surprise that the head of the table has his own private locker room at WWE shows, which on one occasion wasn't as private as you'd think. In May 2018, Sam Gradwell competed during an untelevised match in Dublin, Ireland, and when he was instructed to find somewhere to keep his ring gear, as he explained on the Wrestling with Johners podcast, I sat down and I looked at the chair in front of me and I realized that Roman Reigns had set his gear over the chair in front of me, so I was like, oh I've got to get out of here. I got to find a different room. So I pick up my bag to leave and Roman walks in and says, no, you sit there, you're good, and he just sat chatting to me all night. This is certainly a wholesome story featuring Reigns, and it goes to show that no matter how much of a heel he is on TV, and no matter how big of a star he's become, he's never going to forget those working lower down the card. It was back in October that Bray Wyatt returned to WWE, and though he's not terrorizing audiences as The Fiend anymore, he remains a mysterious character. Wyatt has been recently teasing a darker side, even attacking a cameraman during an episode of SmackDown, but this week, Bray broke character at a WWE live event. After making his in-ring return at the Madison Square Garden show, Wyatt competed at a live event in Greensboro and met with fans at ringside. During this interaction, a young fan in the crowd offered Bray a hug, something the superstar obliged, and a clip of the interaction was shared online. On social media, fans called Wyatt one of the sweetest WWE superstars around, and while it's nice, it isn't exactly the mood WWE is going for on TV. WWE live events allow superstars to cut loose and do things they wouldn't get the chance to do on company programming, and we're sure that fan will never forget this interaction with the former Universal Champion. More from AEW now, as Adam Page suffered a concussion months ago during a World Championship match with Jon Moxley, which resulted in the bout being stopped immediately. Page hasn't competed since that October episode of Dynamite, but he did make an appearance on last night's episode. Appearing with the Dark Order behind him, Page was asked by Renee Paquette about his health and said it didn't look promising. To Page's surprise, however, the doctor informed him that if he continued to observe the concussion protocols in place, he'll be cleared within 2 weeks, and warned him not to get physical. That warning may be easier said than done, given that Paige is currently feuding with Moxley, and the two have already had a brawl, and a match between the two is all but guaranteed. Paige has said that he couldn't remember his son's name for an hour, which just shows how dangerous concussions can be, and hopefully he'll be making a full recovery within a matter of weeks. At Double or Nothing in May, Paige Vanzant competed in her first, and to date only, wrestling match, being on the winning side of a 6-person tag match. Fans expected to see much more of Vanzant after this win, but she's been nowhere to be seen in the following months, and now we know why she's been missing. On Instagram, the 28-year-old explained that she's been out of action with a foot injury and uploaded a clip wherein she revealed the results of her x-ray. Paige is dealing with 3 broken bones in her foot, which pretty much confirms why she hasn't wrestled for AEW and why her bare-knuckle fighting championship bouts have been postponed this year. Tony Khan recently told Grapsody that he'd love to have Vanzant back, but wants her to face the right opponents. But right now, her only focus is getting healed, and we wish her a speedy recovery. And we're ending today with WWE, as this year has been unlike any other, and at this time, a lot of people have been reflecting on the past 12 months. Fans have been giving their picks for the match of the year as well as the wrestler of the year, and for Sports Illustrated, that person is Seth Rollins. Rollins' feud with Cody Rhodes and stepping up in the absence of Roman Reigns clinched the #1 spot for the Architect, who has reacted on Instagram. In his Instagram story, Rollins thanked Sports Illustrated for the love, adding that it is an honor to be a part of the list. Rollins has had an impressive 2022, even if he didn't win the undisputed WWE Universal title. And with a US title match with Austin Theory scheduled for next week's Raw, the Architect is looking to start off 2023 with a bang.